On One Day Leader, our candidates encourage young people to become local tourists. A very warm good afternoon and welcome to One Day Leader. I'm your host, Tumi Mothotoane. Well, according to a report by SouthAfrica.info, in 1993, South Africa received a mere 3.4 million foreign visitors. But by 2012, the figure had grown by 300%, increasing the number to 13.5 million visitors, of which 9.2 million were tourists. Now, Europe remains the highest source of overseas tourists, with the United States trailing behind as the second biggest overseas market. Now today, we are discussing tourism as a major source of income for our country. Are we as young people joining in the tourist activities that are happening in our country? Well, please share your views on the topic this afternoon on our Facebook page, which is One Day Leader SA, or on our Twitter account, which is @OneDayLeader, and do hashtag One Day Leader. Now we're on week 3, and there are 6, of course, of our candidates, and they have our vision statements. And without any further ado, let's meet leader number 1, Tshwanelo, Fokazi.
I have always dreamed of major changes in society. Dreamed of women being seen as more than tragedies, commodities, and symbols of sexy. Dreamed of women being leaders. South Africa, if that's also your dream, start with me, invest with me. Vote leader number 1 as the first female one-day leader.
Thank you so much, Tshwanelo. Looking very pretty there. But moving over to number 2, our leader is Siphosenkosi Malimela.
Sanibonani Makaya. I dream of a South Africa of thinkers and not mere reflectors of other men's thoughts. A place where excellence is expected and not just a random occurrence. A place where opportunity is given to everyone who deserves and they can display what they can do. Nkosi Sigelela iAfrika.
Thank you so much, leader number 2. That is Siphosenkosi. Moving over to our next leader. Leader number 3's name is Matasha Mazomba.
Good afternoon, South Africa. I dream of a South Africa that is uncompromising in its desire to grow, and where any hindrance of any kind to such growth is untolerated. I envision a South Africa who mourn the death of a 4-year-old boy, not merely as a news headline, but also as a heinous crime to us all. Condolences to the Morris family.
Condolences indeed. Thank you so much, Natasha. Heading over to leader number 4, we have Jabulani, Sibiya.
As a servant leader, I wish to instill a sense of hope to the future and current analysis of South Africa, to motivate a more permeable society and to motivate a solution-driven economy rather than a problem-seeking economy. And through leadership, I salute you.
Salute to you, leader number 4. Alrighty, now it's time to give a lady a chance. Leader number 5's name is Samantha Beynon.
Molweni Mzansi. Everyone must be given the opportunity to realize and maximize their potential, enjoy the rights of this hard-fought-for democracy, as well as practice their responsibilities. We need an economy that is inclusive of the majority of South Africans. The wealth of this country and land cannot remain in the hands of a few. We cannot do it alone, but together we can make this country great.
Thank you, Samantha. And of course, last but certainly not least, we have leader number 6, Octavia, Shabangu.
Good afternoon, South Africa. When I was 8 years old, my mother bathed me, and I said to her, "Mama, mankhulile ngizokakhela indlu enkulu." She hugged me gently and said, "Khula mntanami ufunde, ukuze uzokhomba umama indlela." And from then on, I knew that education is power.
Thank you so much, Octavia. Well, there you have it from our 6 candidates, and thank you so much, leaders. But next, we take a look at our scoreboard for this week. And coming up first, we take a look at our viewers' votes. At number 3, we have Jabulani Sibiya with 1 point. At number 2, we have Matasha Mazomba with 2 points. And at number 1, from the viewers' votes, we have Samantha Beynon, of course, with 3 points. All right, at the end of the episode, one of these candidates goes home. So don't forget to vote for them on our SMS line, which is 34020. And here's how you can vote. To vote for your favorite leader, SMS Leader 1, Tshwanelo, Fokazi. Leader 2, Siphosenkosi Malimela. Leader 3, Matasha Mazomba. Leader 4, Jabulani Sibiya. Leader 5, Samantha Beynon. And Leader 6, Octavia Shabangu. Now you took a look at the viewers' vote. Now let's take a look at the series scoreboard. And this is how it looks. We have Tshwanelo Fokazi leading the pack with 6 points. We have Octavia Shabangu and Samantha Beynon trailing behind with 5 points each. Jabulani Sibiya comes at 4 points. Matasha Mazomba and Siphosenkosi Malimela there with 2 points. All right, now for the very first time this season, our judges have the power to save a candidate from elimination. With today being our very first elimination episode, I wonder if they will use that save. Well, Mzansi, without any further ado, let's meet our resident judges. A writer, a public speaker and social activist, Shaka Sisulu is a founding member of Cheese Kids, a board member of Love Life, and serves on the interim leadership task team of the ANC Youth League. Catherine Constantinides is the Youth Network Generation Earth co-founder, executive director of Miss Earth SA and lead SA executive. Well, we welcome back Shaka after his absence last week and of course this week. Shaka, welcome back. We missed you.
Great to be back.
Great to be back.
Great to be back.
But you heard, this is our very first elimination episode.
I've got impeccable timing.
Yeah. So do you think that you'll be using your save?
I got the save.
You've got a save. Are you using it?
We don't know. Let's see. Let's see if we are moved by the end of the episode. Potentially, someone could go home, or potentially these judges will save their life. Let's see how it plays out.
Let's see how it goes. Thank you so much, Shaka. Well, as you know as well, our guest judge is Masechaba Lekalake, who of course works for the city of Johannesburg municipality as the deputy director within the destination marketing in the group communications and tourism department. Now, not only does she build the brand for the city of Johannesburg, but she also works very closely with the international relations department to foster relationships, of course, for investment, for tourist attraction and knowledge sharing with, of course, identified international markets. Ms. Masechaba Lekalake, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to One Day Leader.
Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Now, I suppose my question to you is, do you think young people actually visit all these monuments that we have in Johannesburg?
Yes, they do. From our tourist attractions to visit, our Johannesburg Zoo leads the pack. We have thousands and thousands of school children, even the youngsters, coming to the zoo. Soweto is one of our attractions. And as you know, Soweto is for all. We have the youth coming through almost every day. Vilakazi Street, that's where it's happening.
Very popular.
Yeah.
Thank
the
you so
Orlando
much.
Towers, that's also where it's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And also welcome back to Catherine Constantinides. Thank you so much for joining us. Had fun the last season?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very excited to be back tonight.
Thank you so much to our judges. And of course, finally, we have, of course, invited Justice Ramo Thala, of course, from Radio 2000, who will be listening very closely to our contestants as they deliberate on today's topic. Just as you are in the audience, welcome to One Day Leader. Thank you for joining us. What do you expect? All right. It seems like we don't have a mic there, so our viewers can... Do you have a mic right there? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, it's the first time I'm as part of the audience of the show. I'm looking forward to it. I've heard so much of the show. I've become a big fan. Looking forward to you guys. I think already what I've seen, the spirit of fireworks.
Thanks, Justice. I saw what Justice tried to do there because he's got that nice, sexy voice. He's like, they can hear me. No, you still need a mic, brother man. But thank you so much for joining us. And of course, earlier this week, we had our candidates, of course, pitch an idea to market Johannesburg to young people within Gauteng. Well, they got to pitch their ideas to the Johannesburg tourism. And let's see how that went.
Good morning, leaders. This week, each of you get a chance to pitch the Gauteng Tourism Authority on how best to promote the country to for local citizens. The advert must appeal and encourage young people who don't travel in our country to take an interest in seeing the country. Note that these young people currently spend a lot of money on alcohol, going to parks and clubs to have fun. This advert must get them interested in exploring their local surroundings. Good luck.
The Johannesburg Tourism Unit has taken heed of what one can get from the youth. Yes, we have plans coming whereby we want the youth to be part of the people we want to attract to come and see our tourist activities that are based in Johannesburg.
I'm from Gauteng and I've been in Gauteng, I've never been elsewhere. So I'm excited to encourage my peers to tour and not focus on clubs too much. And I'm really excited for the picture individually and also we're going to get to work as a group. We haven't worked as a group yet as such. And so as a leader, I know that you need to be able to follow. So I look forward to following if I lose. But if I win, then I look forward to leading and really demonstrating my leadership skills, which I've cultivated over the years.
Tshwanelo started the pitch to the executives at the Gauteng Tourism Board.
So it's two young people standing, that's how the ad starts, and they're like pointing. And so as they point, the camera, I suppose you could say, goes to where they're looking at. And then we see like the Lion Park, and then it's like they're thinking these things. And then we see the monuments, and then we see statues of Nelson Mandela and, Sibiya Town and all these things that happen in Gauteng. So it's like as they are thinking of Gauteng, they're seeing these dreams and whatnot. That's my whole concept, Gauteng being a place where dreams come true.
Thank you, Tshwanelo.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
My idea, very simple. Young, trendy lady or ladies walks around the corner, up that road in Maboneng Crescent. And because of her appeal and her unique outlook, appearance, we can look at different kinds of styles. That would be up to her in terms of how her visual makeup would look like.
My understanding is you are to come up with a pitch to promote or to encourage tourism from the locals in Johannesburg. Do you think your story is talking to that?
I want to look at a broader picture other than to just say, let us produce wealth from promoting a particular sector in the tourism industry.
I wanted to actually challenge the topic itself and not just come in and make the idea or the advert about selling tourism and about corporations earning money from it, but rather empowering young people.
When I first got this brief, I decided to do a little bit of primary research. And this brought me to my tagline of a tourist in your own city. I would like the different scenes to be in sync and actually have the camera be showing their view in order to capture your emotive scent. People our age love the Orlando Towers. And because they love social areas, they love combos, they love specials, they love your 2-for-1s, and they like quantity. They like getting more in a small space of time for what they actually receive. So that's why in my advert or in the advertorial, it would show the person bungee jumping and automatically in sync into them going into a roller coaster at Gold Reef City.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
My idea or the pitch that I have in my mind would be a typical day or the first day of university when people are coming in and they're trying to make new friends. So as they come in, they will speak about where they're from. So you have someone from Cape Town, you have someone from Mpumalanga, and you have someone from Gauteng. And as they start to communicate and say, this is who I am, this is where I'm from, and they speak about, Table Mountain, they speak about the beach. And then when it comes to the guy who actually lives in Gauteng, and they ask him, so since we'll be studying in this area, what are the things that actually happen in Gauteng and in Jozi? And you find the guy doesn't really know a lot. So this is the idea I think I have as a pitch for young people about tourism in the country.
You're done?
Yeah.
What's your pitch? What's your pitch, Sipho?
It's the ad or
Thank you, Sipho. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sipho.
We have a young Nelson Mandela, so everybody should be able to identify that this individual is Nelson Mandela and is walking, hence we know the whole long walk to freedom. And the sun is dawning and it's a close-up on his face and he's walking straight through. And as he's walking through, the shot becomes wider and he's looking around and he can see like young Banzulas dancing around. and he's walking through and there's music playing in the background, and you can see like a chisanyama, people are having a braai, they're drinking beers, they're celebrating, and he carries on walking through, and you see all the Gauteng franchises like your Cheese, your Blue Bulls, your Pirates, they're all together, and they're showing that unison of Joburg, but different type of vibes.
We start by having a clip of, say, for example, Hector Peterson Memorial and maybe the Constitutional Hill and the Constitutional Court. These three locations and capture our South African history by just mentioning three things we already know where we're going with our history. Then we move into the now. What's happening in Johannesburg now? How is the youth involved in the now? And what is the attraction in the now? We move to places like Newtown. We have a clip of Newtown maybe where the youth are very active. We have our culture there, we have our art is there, and then we move to places like the Constitutional Court, because this is where our policies are currently being discussed, and this is where our constitution is being discussed and where it is evolving. And also it is important to remember that our constitution is one of the best in the world, so it is important that we include it within our tourism. Then we move to the future, where we have nothing, but we end with a tagline that says, what will your legacy be? That's my pitch. Thank you very much.
What do you think?
It's great. It's great.
Kenny, who's your number one?
My number one is Natasha.
For me, it's
Is
Jabu.
Jabu.
And
Okay.
then Octavia.
And Octavia. Okay.
The thing is, being your age, expectations are high. Creativity didn't come out. That's what we were looking for. Jabu, I think what you gave us in terms of coming up with that ad, you're the winner.
Wow, very interesting ideas. And of course, congratulations to you, Jabu, for of course winning the task. Congratulations, round of applause for him. Yep. Well, just a reminder that, of course, the candidates were, of course, pitching to the city of Johannesburg tourism. Very interesting, creative ideas they came up with. But after the break, we see how they translate their pitches on the field. Welcome back to One Day Leader. If you have just joined us, well, today, unfortunately, we say goodbye to one of our candidates. So please vote for your favorite contestant on the number 34020 and make sure that they, of course, make it to the next round. Now, earlier on, our candidates met with the City of Johannesburg Tourism, and they pitched a high-concept advert attracting young people to be tourists within their own city. Let's take a look how that went.
So we're going to start in Soweto at Chafpozi, which is they have Chisanyama, a very famous event. So we're going to check there, and then we also need to check at Gold Reef City, as well as at Gold Reef City in terms of shooting and the site as well, and Maboneng precinct in terms of the living room and at the site there, and if we can shoot there.
If I was task leader, things would have been done differently in terms of me finding other alternatives to Gold Reef City and Soweto Towers and things like that, you know.
If I said we're going to be shooting at Gold Reef City, I need to produce content of Gold Reef City and not of an alternative, because that's not what I said to them, and that's not why they picked me to implement this.
As the candidates said out to Maboneng, they had not briefed the person they were going to see, and they did not find him.
Hi, Carl, how are you? I'm all right. You're speaking to Sipo. We just wanted to find out. We're busy doing something on tourism.
We didn't call them yesterday, and we still haven't called them. We're here, and we're having problems. I did think, okay, maybe we should call, but it was like, no, we're all going. We'd rather have a personal interaction, and that's. I just towed the line and I followed.
We called the owner of the living room, and Siphosenkosi managed to bring the rate down from 1,500 Rand to 500 Rand for an hour. But unfortunately, budget isn't looking very good. So now we're going to look for an alternative, a place that looks as good within Maboneng and within Arts and Main to shoot at.
How are you?
Percy.
I was told that I will meet you here, guys.
Yes.
The camera guy.
Perfect.
Cool.
Perfect, perfect.
What's going to be happening here?
It's an evening scene.
It's the closing
It's
scene.
the closing scene.
And we're chilling and eating and the scenery.
Something around a table, engage.
They don't really sound like they do know what they're doing. I don't know whether it's because they're still student or it's the first time doing it.
Now we're here at the Orlando Towers and Chaf Posi. We're gonna try first get to see if we're allowed to come into Chaf Posi and actually shoot a scene here.
We're wanting to ask you, Geputi, if it's possible, by siyakwazi ushuta apha ngomso.
You are able to shoot here, but then I'm just one of the managers here. But you have to speak to my GM, his name is Gordon.
Now that was a very interesting struggle, but it also looks like it was a lot of fun at the same time. Now after the break, we take a look at the final product. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back. Well, if you have just joined us, you're watching One Day Leader, broadcasting live from SABC Henley Studios in Auckland Park, Johannesburg. Now, today's topic is on being a tourist in your own country, and our candidates have been tasked to make an advert that will ensure and encourage young people to be tourists in Gauteng.
Let's just do a dry run and action. Just try to delay it. Ganani.
Energy, Matasha.
Energy.
We just shot an advert. Wait for you out. I'm tired of rapping because I don't know how. I'm putting my boots on, and that's so late.
Our candidates made their way to the Orlando Towers in Soweto.
Got the Figalana Soweto Towers. We're excited. We're taking our second footage for the day. So the Figalana like tourists, Malimela, and then we're gonna like look at it, stare at it, and be like, wow, you know how tourists are. This place is amazing anyway. And then Sizo shoot this Tommy selfie moment, and that's it. Oh, we're gonna have it in the background. It's gonna be so fun. I'm excited.
Would you like a piece of meat?
Sam Beynon couldn't be here because she has to write one of her tests, which is required for honors.
And after all their hard work, the candidates finally arrive at their final location.
Namhlanje sicedile challenge ne and bengcono kulezo especially because abantu beba focus on goal one and people actually wanted the same thing.
Today we didn't have Sam and people were more relaxed. It wasn't too tense. Let me put it that way.
Now, I have to say, these guys have went all out to ensure that the production of these adverts is absolutely amazing. We saw selfies, we saw Jabulani playing director, Tshwanelo playing assistant director there, telling Matasha to have more energy. But let's now take a look at the final product.
Be my love when the fire is low, when the fire is low, when the fire. Be my love when the fire is low, when the fire is low, when the fire. Have a wonderful time, but don't forget to write to
Wow, I just have to say this, well done team, I bow to you, well done. Very, very creative. Clearly we have creative geniuses, of course, within our team. But of course, now it's time for us to have a look at some of the questions that, of course, our judges have to say. Also want to remind you that if you have any comments whatsoever, make sure you post them on Twitter and Facebook and SMS your favorite contestant, of course, to 34020. Now, judges, you have seen what our creative geniuses here have to give. Do you have any questions for them?
Yeah, I think before we get to the finished product, I want to get back to the pitching session. Sipho, you saw flames in that room. I mean, I was seeing the head, you stuttering like the data man. What happened? Was it lack of preparedness, nerves? What was going on?
I think part of the brief entailed that it had to be something that we'll be able to shoot. And, you know, didn't have budget and things like that. I tried to make it as simplistic as possible. And so it might have given the impression that I didn't have a lot to say, all right? The stuttering part and the, yeah, well, I think we learn.
It makes for great TV, man, don't worry about it.
Samantha, my question is for you. And I just want to find out, and I want to ask you, why did you question the brief that was given to you by the client? And could that not be seen as rude and not following the exact instructions that you were given?
Thank you for the question. I think it's a fantastic question. I think in that particular moment, and I think it's always important for a leader to be completely honest with themselves and reflect, have a personal reflection. I think in that moment, I had a crossroads in terms of, do I compromise what I'm here to do and the people I am representing? Because my message on that has been completely consistent. Regardless of the task at hand, regardless of the topic, which was tourism and promoting it, for me it's always been about whatever the topic is each week, I want to represent the majority of South Africans. I want an inclusive economy. And tourism is part of the economy, it's a sector. So for me it was a crossroads. It was, do I compromise that or do I challenge it?
All right, Samantha, due to time, we have to give Mazis, of course, a chance to ask a question.
Okay. My question is to you, Jabu. As the leader and the brain behind the idea, the planning, the organizing seems to be all over. Who was responsible for what? And did you actually delegate?
Thank you for the question. I did delegate. And I don't think that it wasn't that the planning wasn't done properly. We must understand that we were given the evening to prepare where we were going to shoot. And some of those places you need to plan well in advance to actually shoot an advert there and pay a particular amount. We didn't have budget and we were given about 4 hours to contact them. So we had to make do with what we had.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jabulani. All right, and thanks, of course, to our judges. Thank you so much for those questions. Very, very on point. Now, our debate topic for the week is, should locals pay the same prices as tourists of domestic tourist sales and destinations? But before we get into that debate, let's take a look at our debate rules. Every leader has a set of instructions and disciplines to live by. These are the rules for the one-day leader debates. You have 30 seconds to state your vision statement, 60 seconds for the opponent to challenge, and 30 seconds to conclude your debate. Now, with that said, our first debate is between Siphosenkosi and Samantha, and we'll be starting with Samantha. Samantha, your time starts now.
Thank you, Siswam. I believe that locals should not be paying the same prices as international tourists. And of course, naturally, one would look at the socio-economic conditions of the majority of our people. So we think about poverty, inequality, and unemployment. But that's not particularly my focus. My focus is because we need to understand that restricting payment to foreigners preserves the historic value of what we own, our own local sites and locations. Locals can't be subject to
Thank you so much,
paying.
Samantha. Siphosenkosi, you've got 60 seconds to challenge, starting now.
All right, number one, you're speaking about not paying the same price, but have you considered that's the impression that it has on the international tourist in terms of would it affect the attractiveness of our economy? Secondly,
Siphosenkosi, I'd like to ask you, can the average South African afford to pay to go to Robben Island, for example? Because I can tell you now that statistically, we are showing
I
that
understand
people
that. Okay,
can't.
but are we saying that is that the only reason people are not going because of the price alone?
Siphosenkosi, if you had listened to my opening statement, I said that is not the grounds for my debate. The grounds for my debate is we struggled for these particular sites. Our people sacrificed their lives.
We must not pay
so
just
we
because...
own this, and we need to to have a pride in what we own.
Just answer this part, the sustainability of whatever it is. Because if we are not taking care of our own environment, how will we in the future preserve this thing for our own children?
Let me educate you a little bit. You need to look at what the National Department of Tourism, together with SA Tourism, is doing in terms of promoting domestic and local tourism. And that is inclusive.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much, leaders. All right, and now we're heading over to Siphosenkosi to propose his vision statement. Your 30 seconds start now.
I also believe that no one should be charged to play in their own backyard. With that being said, I still believe that the market forces, supply and demand, should be the ones that determine the initial price, but then the government should subsidize the prices for the locals so that we may be able to see and be able to pay less than our people. This is done for us to be able to appreciate our own heritage and our pride so that we can be proudly South African.
Thank you so much, Siphosenkosi. All right, Samantha, now's your chance to oppose. Your 60 seconds start now.
Siphosenkosi, the fact of the matter is that, one, South Africans fought for the local societies or sites, rather.
Can your question be addressed to
what
I said?
Finish?
To what
Can
I
you
said,
have
not
some
your
manage for me
statement.
to finish? Number one, we fought for these sites, number one. Number two, the fact of the matter is that in this democracy, although there has been improvement on promoting domestic tourism, we need to continue that struggle. And that means, I want to ask you now, can the average South African, are they really inclusive of being able to be beneficiaries of this? And that doesn't just mean visit.
Hence I said the government must subsidize them. That's what I'm saying.
How sustainable is that? And have you done your research? Because government currently right now has already donated 1.6 billion to promote domestic tourism. And that will increase by 20%
Number one, I
time.
spoke about factors of supply and demand, meaning that the money or the attractiveness of whatever product that we're selling.
The fact of the matter is that more international foreigners visit our own places than our own
Thank you so much, leaders. A round of
citizens.
applause for our first debate. All right, very heated right there. Judges, you have that very much difficult job to now analyze and cross-examine. What do you think?
I'm still struggling to see the real difference. I mean, Sipho, you're saying that we should, the market should determine the prices and then government should subsidize.
Yes, in the sense that the price is nearly the same.
Okay, no, we understand. And then Samantha, you're saying it should, what should happen? Everyone should price it according to how locals can
Yes, the
access it.
affordability given the practical socio-economic conditions of our people as it stands today. In other words, us being realistic as to can the majority of South Africans be included in this domestic
All right,
and local
judges,
tourism.
we need to deliberate a winner for this, unfortunately, as well. We'll give our judges a moment right now to still deliberate who they think is the winner of the debate. But don't forget, don't forget, okay? Today is Elimination Day, and you need to make sure that you vote for your favorite candidate. They confused me just now, like the back and forth, I can't deal. But anyway, the judges can deal. So we need to have our answer, of course, for the winner of this debate now, please. Judges?
Sidi, do you want
There you go.
Yeah.
Sidi?
Yeah, I believe Sipho is correct. We need to look at supply and demand. Bearing in mind that all these attractions, they need to be sustained. How do we do that? There's got to be a price for it. Yes, government can be called in to come and subsidize, but that's a point to discuss with the government.
Siphosenkosi takes it. A round of applause, please. Congratulations, Siphosenkosi. But after the break, we continue that very interesting debate. You don't want to miss it. It got me confused. Stay tuned. Now, welcome back to One Day Leader. My name is Tumi Mothotoane, and we, of course, taking your SMSs into consideration. I urge you to continue SMSing for your favorite contestant, of course. But now, we are heading over to our next debate, but I just want to remind you of our topic today, which is, should locals pay the same prices as tourists at domestic tourist sites and destinations? Well, our next debate is between Jabulani and Octavia. Well, Octavia, you have 30 seconds to of course, give us your vision statement, starting now.
In 2012, statistics showed that foreign tourism expenditure increased by 2.29 billion, and domestic tourism expenditure increased by 30 billion in comparison. What this says is tourism is the new gold of South Africa, and South Africans are the lifeblood that keep it burning. I believe that locals should educate themselves about the sovereign land and should pay lower prices to tour domestic sites than their counterparts of their international counterparts. We need to instill a culture of traveling to South African citizens and incentivize domestic traveling. everywhere.
Thank you so much, Octavia. Thank you so much. Jabulani, if you're ready, your 60 seconds begin now.
Thank you very much. So he says we need to instill the sense of culture in order to promote tourism domestically. I want to ask him how he's going to do that, as well as how he's going to, because on the tourism government website, I see you've done your research, it says that we need to have two objectives: strategic partnerships and collaboration, and strengthening institution. How are you going to link those two objectives that are listed on our government website to implement your specific idea in terms of solutions?
So it's simple. There's this concept in economics, if I go back, if you look at Siphosenkosi, it's called price differentiation.
Okay.
This is a pricing strategy that's actually existed. It's, the strategy is where you have an identical surface which is translated by different prices, one service provider to different markets. Simply implemented, this is how it goes. You have a one standard markup that you have for services of tourism, which is standard on the board. But we want a fraction of that markup to be charged to people. So what I said in my answer was that we need people, local people, to pay less. Simply because this morning when I woke up, this
Unfortunately,
one...
we've run out of time, Octavia. Thank you so much for, of course, giving us your vision statement. But Jabulani, you open this debate now.
No, South Africans should pay less prices in order to go to these places. And what I'm saying is that they should present their identification in order to get a discount on these prices, but not in a specific time. Off-peak periods is the time where these domestic tourists should be going to these sites, because if we look at it, on peak times is where these domestic sites increase on profitability and increase on tourists coming to the country. So what I'm saying is that during that time, we should have in the off-peak time, we should have the tourists coming, and we can actually integrate communication.
Thank you so much, Jabulani. Octavia, your 6 seconds to oppose begin now.
Okay, so you were talking about off-peak times, which means like you're looking for seasonal type of tourism. So what happens if we have a big event like the World Cup again, which is during an off-peak time, and we have lots of tourist people coming, but people are paying less? What then?
So right, so hence I'm saying that it needs to be on a specific time, and we must understand in this website or in the tourism budget speech, it said much more can be done to address the affordability and the access barriers that prevent these South Africans. And if we look at it, they cannot afford these places, hence off-peak. And if we had an event like that, Octavia, then we're saying that that's an on-peak, because people are coming to the country in order to access our goods. So that is an on-peak season where the locals will not be paying the specific amount. Whereas in an off-peak season, this is where we can actually get our locals to be paying a lower rate if identification is present, in order for them to access these domestic sites that are currently present.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Round of applause for that debate. Thank you so much to our leaders, judges. You know, of course, due to time, I need to be very briefly, and our winner, please.
I think that our deliberation goes to Jabu, because I think the off-peak solution encourages locals to access these domestic tourism destinations.
A round of applause for Jabulani Sibiya. All right, congratulations to you. Right now, though, without any further ado, we head over to our final debate, which is between Matasha and Tshwanelo. And Matasha, of course, you opened this segment of the debate. Your 30 seconds begin now.
So tourism is a priority in government's policy and framework, and one of the 6 job drivers in South Africa of the new growth path. 1 in every 12 jobs in South Africa is provided by tourism. So now in allowing for locals to pay less at tourism sites as well as destinations, we do 3 things. We introduce and foster a culture of domestic tourism and possibly increase current domestic tourism in South Africa. We decrease reliance on external forces for economic growth and remove vulnerability of our market to external forces, which are our people.
Thank you so much, Matasha,
in.
for that. Well, Tshwanelo, you have 60 seconds to oppose, beginning now.
All right, Natasha, I understand that tourism is one of the biggest economic drivers in South Africa, but how do you propose that we brand tourism as a historical industry as well? Because South Africa, where South Africans can actually enjoy the industry.
Well, I would first of all say that tourism in South Africa is already branded. Our South African culture, our South African history is a brand in itself. It doesn't need branding. What I'm saying is that our people need to experience the branding that we have, that they are currently not experiencing.
When a large majority of them cannot afford to go to these places. As Samantha pointed out, a lot of them cannot afford Robben Island. Our international tourists maybe can, but what about the South African who cannot?
I don't understand what your argument is, because I'm also for allowing South Africans to pay less in tourism sites. I said we allow them to pay less. In this way, we introduce and foster a culture of tourism within South Africa by allowing our people to pay less. I also said when we allow them to pay less, we decrease our reliance.
A 5-day trip to New York City to attend the annual JCI Global Partnership Summit, sponsored by the JCI South Africa. Well, thanks to our candidates, of course, for their debate. But after the break, we meet, of course, DJ Just Us, and we talk to him for a little bit, and we also say goodbye to one of our candidates. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Well, today our topic is promoting tourism within the country, and we've invited Justice, of course, from Radio 2000 to talk to one of our candidates. Well, welcome back again, Justice, aka The Voice. Welcome back to One Day Leader. Do you actually have a question for one of our candidates?
Look, maybe for anyone who can take this, shouldn't we have compulsory tourism in schools? That means all schools should make sure that they travel. Because what I've noticed is that you go to school in Soweto, that's it. You could actually finish school and never leave. Should we have compulsory tourism in our schools? It used to happen at some point. And how would we do that? And I think another follow-up question would be that...
We only have time for one question,
Okay,
unfortunately,
good.
Justice.
All right.
Unfortunately, just one question. Jabulani, I see you raising your hand there.
Yes, I'd like to answer the question if it's all right with my leaders. I think we should, because, and we can fit it in perfectly, especially into subjects like history, where you learn about the specific monuments that exist in South Africa. So why not do an experiential and take them there? Yes.
All right, thank you so much. A round of applause there. Thank you so much, Justice. And please do make sure that you catch Matasha Mazomba on, of course, Justice Show on Radio 2000. And now, the final scoreboard, of course, for this episode. Let's take a look. All right, now scoreboard, we have Jabulani, of course, heading up the pack with Tshwanelo with 6 points each. Octavia and Samantha are right behind with 5 points each. Matasha Mazomba and Siphosenkosi Malimela are behind with 4 points each. And remember, this is an elimination round. Definitely one leader needs to go home. But because we do have 2 leaders that are at the bottom, 4 points each, judges, you have this so difficult decision to make to actually let us know which leader is going home tonight.
And we've just deliberated, so... You want to give the honors?
Catherine, the bearer of bad news?
Okay, so tonight, the contestant who gets to stay is Natasha.
So Natasha gets to stay. And that means that Siphosenkosi, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to you. A round of applause for Siphosenkosi for being such a great sport. Well, of course, we wish Siphosenkosi a great journey, of course, for being on One Day Leader. We congratulate Natasha Mazomba, of course, for making it to the next round. Now, of course, it's time for us to say goodbye. Thank you so much to our candidates for coming on to the show. Thank you so much, judges, and a special thank you to Ms. Masechaba for joining us, of course, today. And a warm round of applause to you as well as our audience members. You've been great. All right. But before we say goodbye, Siphosenkosi, any word you'd like to say, your journey perhaps within One Day Leader?
I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to be one of the 6 contestants. It's been a wonderful journey being here. And I think this is only the beginning. There is a lot you can expect from this young man. And watch out for Siphosenkosi Malimela.
A round of applause. Thank you so much, and do join us next week when we look at access to education. And in the words of John C. Maxwell, a good leader is a person who takes a little more of the blame to himself and less of course, the credit. From myself, your host, Tumi Mothotoane, thank you for joining us and have a blessed week. Goodbye.